I'm a private chef who works for a multi-millionaire. Ask me anything. By request. I'm doing an IAmA some background. I have worked in the food service industry all my life. I've been a dishwasher, busboy, waiter, and bartender, and I've worked every position in a kitchen. I worked 4 years in a James Beard award-winning restaurant. I don't have a culinary degree, but I have trained lots of CIA interns. I quit working in restaurant kitchens 15 years ago due to health reasons. I have been working for my employer for 12 years now. He made his money by creating a stock brokerage from the ground up. Now he has sold his company and is retired, but he is still highly respected in the investment community. My employers own houses in New Hampshire, Pennsylvania, and on a tiny private island in Florida. They travel seasonally, spending summers in New Hampshire, winters in Florida, and the rest in Pennsylvania. They are wonderful, down-to-earth people. I wish to protect their privacy, so please excuse me if I'm vague on some details here. Would you rather cook 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck? I'd rather cook neither. It sounds like a lot of work to me. I'm afraid you do not have that option. Okay, 1 horse-sized duck then. Skinning 100 mini horses sounds like a serious pain in the ass. What is your yearly salary? In the low 50k range, with bonuses. Luckily, my wife is the main breadwinner in the family. I thought the chef would be the, never mind. What kind of bonuses does a personal chef get? Serious question. I don't understand what kind of bonus structure there could be. They give me bonuses in the summer and around Christmas, usually in the $1,000 to $1,500 range. Occasionally they will give me an extra bonus, because they are just that cool. Please tell us this, as it is very important for me to know how much I need to make in order to afford my own private chef. You can hire a personal chef to cook for you. That's a different industry, and it's a cheaper solution that can be afforded by upper middle class types. How's that different from a private chef? Personal chef equals buys groceries, comes to your home, cooks then leaves, then goes to others to do the same. You pay for time/groceries only. Private chef equals chef works for you only, nobody else. You pay salary, possibly lives in-house, if necessary otherwise shows up to work like a normal job. What do you cook most often? You might be surprised, as I mostly cook normal home cooking. My boss is elderly and old-fashioned. He likes things like meatloaf, roasted chicken, pan-fried fish, etc. Dinner parties are a completely different matter, though. What are some of the things you cook most often for dinner parties? An easy thing for semi-casual dinner parties is prime quality filet mignon, pan-cooked with a simple deglazed sauce. The meat is ridiculously expensive, but it tastes so damn good you don't need to do anything fancy to make an awesome meal. Do your employers know the price of food? They are pretty much clueless about food cost. They almost never buy anything themselves. 1. When going to a new house for an extended period of time, do you travel ahead of your employer to prep the kitchen and stock the pantry, so to speak? Yes, sometimes I have arrived several days in advance to prep the kitchen. Things tend to fall apart when a house has been left vacant for months, especially in Florida, where the salt air and the bugs destroy everything. 2. Is it just you, or do you have a small cooking staff, 1 or 2 others? I'm the only full-time staff. They have house cleaners, handymen, and landscapers, but those guys just come and go as needed. During big dinner parties, however, they will hire a bartender and servers to help. 3. You mentioned he is pretty old-fashioned when it comes to his meals. Do you ever try to mix it up and surprise him with a new dish? I do try to mix it up, and in fact I do that all the time. Mr. Boss usually grouses and says, well, that veal saltimbocca was good, but I prefer it if you just pan-fried it with lemon. What is the most complicated dish you've had to create? I once replicated a dish from a raw Yamagachi cookbook that was a ridiculous amount of work for the end product. If I remember correctly, it had layers of pasty, seared scallops, potatoes, 2 different kinds of squash, cheese, all arranged like a checkerboard Napoleon with 2 different sauces, and garnished with flower petals. It was a serious pain in the ass to plate up for 12 people when you are working by yourself. It didn't even taste that good. Edit. I found a photo of that stupid scallop/squash Napoleon. I'm a cook and think being a private chef would be cool. How does one get into such a specific and probably rare position? It's difficult. Private chef positions are rare and highly sought after. The most important thing is you have to be totally flexible. When I first put out an ad seeking a job, I announced I was willing to move worldwide. I got a couple responses from eBay. Mostly, you have to be willing to sacrifice your personal life. If you can't do that, then you won't make it as a private chef. When they travel, do you go with them? If you don't, then what do you do while they are away? I travel with them to Florida and Pennsylvania. I used to travel with them to New Hampshire as well, but after I got married that was no longer feasible. Now I take the entire summer off and I hire another guy to take my place temporarily. I do not travel with them when they go on vacation. However, my chef hires his own chefs. Do you still get paid during the summer? If so, do you pay for the replacement chef out of your own pocket, or does your boss pay both people's salaries? No, I don't get paid during the summer. I tend to do occasional catering work to pass the time, plus I work on fixing my house. The replacement chef gets a completely separate salary, and those negations are left up to my boss. If your employers asked you to make some righteous pot brownies, where would you look for a good recipe? On the internet, of course. How many meals do you make a day? Do you also provide snacks if they ask for them? Are you on call for any midnight snacks? Do you live with them? 3 per day during the season, 2 a day in the off season. I always keep fresh snacks on hand and leave home baked cookies and other treats around. I never will get called for a midnight snack. They respect my privacy too much to do that. I used to live with them, but after I got married 5 years ago I moved out and now only work for them 8 months out of the year, with summers off. What is the worst mistake you have made in a dish you prepared for someone else? I once made a Vietnamese noodle salad and served it to a vegan. It turns out I forgot that I put a lot of fish sauce in the dressing. Do you make more than if you were employed in a similar position at a well-known restaurant? I make more than the average cook in a restaurant, but less than a chef in a major kitchen will. My salary is in the low 50k range. What's your favorite dish to make? My favorite dish to make would be roasted chicken with roasted root vegetables, specifically the recipe from the book Roast Chicken and Other Stories by Simon Hopkinson. If your employer turned out to be an evil genius, would you poison him/her? If my employer was an evil genius, I'd probably just quit. Do you cook the same dishes over and over? I have a long list of menu choices, but things tend to get repeated. This is in part due to multiple dietary restrictions, and because my boss just happens to like certain things, and he grouses if he doesn't get his pot roast often enough. Nevertheless, I try not to do the same dish more than once a month. Are you happy doing what you do now? I'm extremely happy doing what I do now. My employers are wonderful people and I consider them to be close friends. Working in restaurant kitchens was great, but the stress was bad for my health. Working as a private chef is so much less stressful, plus the working environment is so much better. For example, I can currently watch dolphins play in the ocean from my kitchen window while I work. Do you believe in the 3-second rule? Oddly enough, my boss actually does. I do my best not to use anything that has touched the floor. They can afford for me to throw it out. What is your most delicious dish that is easy to make? Pasta puttanesca. It's dead easy, all the ingredients have a long shelf life, and it tastes fantastic. How do you personally make it? If you don't mind explaining. It's simple. Boil up some spaghetti. While it's cooking, gather these ingredients: several cloves of chopped garlic, 1 small can of diced tomatoes, crushed red peppers, capers, chopped parsley, half a lemon, olive oil, white wine, black olives, and anchovies or anchovy paste. Heat the oil in a pan, lightly cook the garlic, add the tomatoes and cook for a few minutes, add white wine, add all the other ingredients except for the parsley and the lemon, which you should add at the last second. Toss with the pasta and serve. This will not be a thick sauce. It will just lightly coat the pasta, with the tomatoes and olives adding a bit of chunky texture. Good luck. Do try treat you like the help, or do they actually treat you like a human? They not only treat me like a human being, they treat me like family. I've met other private chefs that weren't so lucky, however. How do they request what food you make? Are you free to make what you want? Do you make large meals and serve them over several days? What's a day like? Oddly enough, they rarely request specific dishes. I have complete menu control, and usually they do not even know what they will be eating until I put it down in front of them. I make normal size meals, but I do tend to make a bit extra, so they have something to eat on my days off. My days are long but easy. Technically I work from 8:30 am to approximate 8:30 pm 5 days a week, but in actuality I have lots of downtime between meals. Actual hours worked are about 7 to 8 hours a day. So what do you do in that downtime? Just chill somewhere in the house. I spend most of it on Reddit, of course. They give me my own room/house depending on location, so I can retreat to there to chill out. Wait, so you spend 7 to 8 hours a day cooking 3 meals? Well, I also do all the kitchen cleaning, and since Mrs. Boss is a real neat freak that takes a lot of my time. What are your views on Chef Gordon Ramsay? Would you personally work with him? I would work with Ramsay on the short term, because he's terribly talented. I'm afraid I'd stab him if I had to work for him in the long term, though. What is their kitchen like? Is it like a professional kitchen at all? Is it full of technology and gadgets? If yes, what are some of the gadgets you use? Their kitchen is a mix of the wonderful and the pain in the ass. The kitchens themselves are large, roomy, and beautiful. 2 of them have multiple ovens/sinks/refrigerators/dishwashers. However, it's not like a professional kitchen. For one, Mrs. Boss is a stickler for neatness, and she likes those damn electric smooth top ranges. I hate those duckers. They work like shit, and I have to clean them 3 times a day to keep them looking nice. Will you make pork chops at midnight? I would, if they ask me. However, they highly respect my privacy and would never drag me out of bed for anything less than a medical emergency. Did you ever note any displays of wealth from your employer that just shocked you? The only thing that ever shocked me was their house in New Hampshire. It's stunningly beautiful, right on a lake, and built in the Adirondack style. Otherwise they are fairly simple people. I once asked my boss why he didn't own a yacht, which he could easily afford, but he simply said, "I don't want one." What is the strangest request one of these guys has made? The strangest request was for snapper soup, turtle soup. However, I couldn't make it because I can't find a supplier. What is the cheapest request any of these guys have made? Kraft macaroni? Ramen noodles? They don't go for packaged foods, and in fact they have never eaten in a McDonald's their entire lives. The cheapest food they request is spaghetti aglio e olio, which costs virtually nothing to make because it's just pasta, oil, and garlic. Most expensive request. Their most expensive request was caviar. The price of caviar has really gotten ridiculous, and good luck finding real beluga. I had to settle for ostrich last time. Do you get tipped on a nightly basis? At all? Ever made any of them mad by cooking something wrong? Did you give them the ass cake special afterwards? Edit. I accidentally saved too early to finish. The only time I ever get tipped is occasionally when a guest will drop a 50 or 100 on me. My boss does give me $1,000 bonuses 2 or 3 times a year. However, they never get mad when something is cooked wrong because they are awesomely cool folks and they treat me like part of the family. As a chef myself, I have never tasted turtle soup. It was never something I was interested in tasting, as it's in my list of animals I would never willingly eat. What are the ways you acquire the ingredients depending on the location? And also, is he a very specific type of eater that is only like steaks done medium rare? I'm not sure where to get turtle meat. I assume the restaurants in Philadelphia have some local supplier. My employers are not picky eaters, but they do have some fairly serious dietary restrictions that make my life very difficult. Mr. Boss is on a low salt diet and wants to avoid carbs. Mrs. Boss can't have any dairy products or egg yolks. One of their grandkids is a vegetarian, and many of their children prefer veggie-based meals. It's a real headache providing variety with so many restrictions. I often make separate dishes for different people. Would you say that any of your boss's kids or grandkids don't respect the work you do? They all respect me. They have the most awesome family. I joke that they are like a Norman Rockwell painting that has come to life. They actually have family sing-alongs during the holidays.